Hi everybody, we are here in the garden center under the atrium on this absolutely beautiful Friday morning, and so we thought we'd talk to you a little bit about what you might do in your garden this weekend on such a glorious weekend. So let's first talk about seeds. Now, a lot of you put in veg gardens this year, and we hope you are really successful, and we'd love to see some photos. So if you've got some photos, either send them to the plant desk @brucecompany.com, or put them on our Facebook page. We would love to see all of your tomatoes and your eggplants and whatever successes you're having. But if you've had a little failure or something is finished out and you have some empty spaces, now is the perfect time to do what we call late summer sowing. I know nobody wants to hear those words late summer, but it is a reality, and there are lots of things that you can plant in your garden now that will thrive in the cool weather to come. So anything with like a short germination to maturation date, so like certainly like radishes, small carrots, I would say like snap peas. Also, any of the lettuces, all of those lettuces that bolted when we got into the heat of June and you missed out on a good homegrown salad crop. Lettuces are great now, so lettuce, spinach, baby kale, all that kind of stuff. What you want to pay attention to if you have a question is on the backs of seed packets there's usually a chart or some kind of information along the side that will tell you days to harvest, or days to maturity, or days to maturation. And that is the day from when the seedling emerges and has a couple of true leaves, and when you can expect in a normal growing year to actually get some produce that you can harvest. So usually our first frost is somewhere around the 1st to 2nd week of October. So if you just count back, as long as the days to harvest are fewer than the days from when you plant to, say, October 10th, you should be fine. Keep in mind though that some of the things like kales and little cabbage and that sort of thing, they actually will get better as the weather gets cooler. So on those you might have a little more wiggle room. Now, it has been a really weird year as far as weather is concerned. We are still almost or a little over 150 growing degree days over last year. So growing degree days are the amount of heat that's been accumulated. We like, as garden geeks, we like to know that because it tells us when certain things might be expected to happen, insect pests, diseases, that sort of thing. But we are 200 growing degree days over the 30-year average. So if you're thinking it's been a warm summer, you are right. Also, even though some of the weather that we've had this week has been quite violent, it did give us enough rain in a lot of places to sort of get close to the average rainfall date for Madison, which is not quite 14 inches, and right now we are standing at 13.38, and that includes the storms of this past week. So it looks like we're getting a little better as far as rainfall. I'm sure that the farmers are super happy, and I'm hoping that that rain actually soaked into the soil and actually came in time to make some difference. Why we're talking about rain, now that it's rain and the soil is wet, there's going to be some issues with maybe some of the insect pests that like those wetter conditions. So we're starting to see some inquiries at the plant desk about damage to perennial leaves, and especially things that grow in the shade. So we're talking about like hosta and ligularia, that sort of thing, and that's very probably one of two things, either slugs or hostas. Now, there are some really fun kind of old-fashioned ways that you can deal with slugs. Put a little cup of beer and kind of bury it into the soil, and they're attracted to the yeasty smell. They'll go in there and drown. I have heard people having success with things like oyster shells, although that's sort of something that's more difficult to get here in the Midwest. But we like Sluggo. And Sluggo is a granular insecticide. You sprinkle it on the ground, and what it does is it sort of, tears up their undersides as they're kind of crawling around. Now, we have Sluggo, and then this is Sluggo Plus. And if you don't know if you have slugs or earwigs, then I would get Sluggo Plus, because Sluggo Plus does slugs and earwigs, where Sluggo singular is just slugs. So if you're not sure, go for Sluggo Plus. And we're hoping that you all have a great weekend, that you're enjoying this weather. Get outside, maybe get to one of the botanic gardens or a park in our area and do a little bit of exploring. And then when you're finding that your spirit is refreshed from nature, you can get back into your garden and do a little bit of gardening. So happy late summer from all of us here at the Roost Company.